So I have been spending all day on the phone trying to get interviews. I got one booked for tomorrow. I had two other interviews today. One was a blue collar business. I swear I've worked for them and it's okay, but I think they get a bit rough. Sure enough, I could have seen through the interview and possibly gotten the job. But I didn't. I said, "Oh, I'm not really sure about this because it sounds like, blue collar is sort of rough and ready." You think you think people working in factories are pretty nice, but a lot of them are non-legislative. They just want to bully and do whatever they like. I think that's what I experienced before when I was working in a blue collar organization previously. I think what happened was I ended up in a bit of feud and I ended up getting chucked off some sort of platform and falling against a large metal crate. I didn't actually get any injuries, but I was fired on the spot, and this was pretty soon after I'd started. But I'll keep in mind, even though, blue collar is a little bit risky, it's pretty good money if you can get the job, and who knows, maybe it'll last a long time. Previously, they weren't really disappointed with my work. It was more like the fact that that I was having a bit of feuds with other people because they didn't really like me and I didn't especially like them, and it resulted in a bit of feud about them wanting me rehired to have someone else fill the spot. So, apart from being completely disrespected, I was sort of put in a bit of a dangerous position, and that dangerous position actually had me fired. So, I think Homer Simpson's considered a blue collar employee. Generally, you think rundown labs where people work pretty war, but it's actually pretty lucrative pay. I forfeited a port position to apply for a nearby position. It didn't work out after a couple of days. I guess now that I think of it, I could have reapplied for that port interview, but I have a feeling that interview's closed Monday. Either way, the port position has its downside. The downside is you have to catch a taxi from the airport. Then you have to work in a building that's on a floating platform. Then it floods and storms right near the platform. Now it becomes your military base being overcome by a large wave. Sometimes you're actually stuck on that platform in the office. And then you find that the office can actually flood. And then you find yourself being chucked off the platform into the ocean, which is raging just as tall as the platform on the port. Then you find yourself swimming for your life because there are sharks in the water. Then you end up following the flood to the airport and racing up escalators to escape the sharks. Yeah, so I've worked at that port 2, maybe 3 times, and all times it flooded. So I guess I don't really necessarily mind not doing that port interview, but all these waste of time jobs literally last 2 to 3 weeks, and in that time you probably earn a pretty good amount of pay. So I have to keep that in mind before I forfeit any job, because 2 to 3 weeks worth of pay equals money for you. 2 and 3 weeks of pay is like 2 and 3 months of rent. So I have to not hold myself back and be like, "Oh, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about that, oh, I've had a bad experience here and there." I have to sort of, I think, run after the money a little bit more and try it as opposed to be scared of trying it. Anyway, good thing is I had one successful interview today, and I have an interview booked for tomorrow. Either of these jobs can lead to employment. In fact, I can get both and work around hours. Yeah, so it's been pretty busy since I lost my last job yesterday. And I've had 5 or 6 interviews, 2 of which have sort of half worked out. One of which I've pretty much gotten a job. If they get back to me this afternoon, I'll have a job by Monday. I'm just not certain that the job's for me. I'm pretty sure that it gets violent in that office. I didn't have them confirm the legislative of the office, which is what I had wanted to do. But I think by day one, you'll probably find out whether they're violent or not. Every job in Milton really sucks. Even the one in the city, it kind of sucks. So I'm not really that enthusiastic for it personally. I sort of want one of the other two positions, which I have an interview for tomorrow, and the other one of which I've already been interviewed. Yeah, so there are still open opportunities, and I get to look for more work. Aside from looking for more work, I also have to look for more apartments just in case you can catch a grab for 150 instead of 280. I think 280 is kind of cheap, but not as cheap as 150. Literally, I would float a lot better in a 150 apartment than a 280 apartment.